You don't feel safe in your body. You may be thinking this is kind of weird title, kind of a weird thing to say. Like, what do you mean I don't feel safe in my body? We are often escaping our body, right? So maybe you can try and meditate and you feel bored, or maybe you can just sit with yourself and you feel bored and you feel like you have to kind of do something. You feel like this bit of frenetic energy, right? And the reason for that is, even though it may sound kind of out there, you're actually running away. You're escaping from difficult emotions because you don't really want to feel that. You're trying to avoid feeling these emotions, and you do so by stimulating yourself, by consuming content that produces dopamine in your brain. And this is not so different than someone who's doing drugs, right? Because you become dependent on these things in order to feel better and not to actually feel the emotional pain and all the negativity, let's say, that's just brewing under the surface. Until you address that negativity, you're always going to be like this guy who's drowning, always trying to get your head above the water instead of just taking the water out. But there's a very nuanced point here, which is, not only do you escape through your phone, Netflix, food, you also escape through thinking. Your brain allows you to go into a very logical realm and not really directly faced with your emotional side. If you want to think about a more physical example, you just stay up here in your head and you disconnect from your body. And this is a very, very nefarious thing, let's say, because then you're barely aware of this emotional pain and you'll think logically that you need to escape. You need to do this. I'm bored. This is all very logical. You don't really understand your emotions that well. You have a very low resolution image of your emotional guidance system. And because of that, you're very much unconscious. And this is something that I dealt with a lot because, again, these examples are based on my life experience. And I can tell you for a fact that I didn't really know what it was like to be in my body. I never really knew what it was like to feel safe in my body until I started to meditate. It's not like I overnight feel safe in my body, but when I meditate, I can have a glimpse of what it feels like to be safe in my body, because for a split second, and this is something you can do as well, or maybe for a couple of seconds, you can actually be there with yourself, with your emotions. It's not like you want the emotion to go away. When you were a kid, for example, it's not like you wanted the sadness to go away. You just wanted to be understood. You wanted someone to be there with you while you're sad. And that's all we're after. Because we didn't get this guidance when we were younger, and maybe nobody was there when you felt angry. Maybe people told you getting angry was bad. People told you getting sad was bad. And you thought, shit, I shouldn't be feeling this. Now when you feel that, even if unconsciously, you're not with yourself. You abandon yourself. And that's why you feel this emotional pain, because that child within you is abandoned. And that pain amplifies and takes a life of its own, so much so that in order to cope with that pain, because you don't want to be with that child, because you don't want to be with that person, you don't accept that emotion, you escape. You look for something that gives you a physical hit so that you can be overwhelmed. You can overwhelm your mind with dopamine. It is my understanding that once you begin connecting and being there for yourself for any kind of emotion, doesn't mean you can't have that emotion, but it means that you can be with your inner child through that journey, through those pains, through those difficult emotions that you probably haven't processed yet. Once you do that, then you can achieve this feeling of peace by default. You don't have to constantly be running away. You don't have to constantly escape yourself. You don't have to constantly alienate parts of yourself in order to survive. You don't have to constantly be drowning and keeping your head treading water. You can finally relax. And only then can you actually also be able to choose what you want to do proactively instead of reacting to that pain. So these are all very key concepts. And the way you do this is through letting go, is through meditating, diving deep into that pain, and allowing yourself to feel it. That's all letting go is, by the way. You're letting go of your resistance to feeling the emotions that you don't want to feel. You're letting go of that aversion to being there for yourself. And so that's what I want to leave you with. If you want to maybe learn a bit more about this, if you want to talk about your particular situation, you can do that by clicking the link below. I'd love to have a chat with you. I do this completely for free. I'm just trying to get to know my subscribers, and I'm also trying to learn by talking with more people, because not only do you learn by obviously watching videos like this, but educating people is also a big part of learning. It's one of the 3 big steps you can take when you're learning something. And I want to take this to a very, very high level, because I believe this is a skill that can change your life completely. And basically that's pretty much it. And I'll keep making videos about this. So if you like this kind of content, subscribe. because I'll make more. Give a like, comment, just make this a win-win so we can all basically profit, let's say, from this video. And I'll see you in the next one. So thanks for watching.